Well, hello to everybody. Welcome, friends, to Wisdom, Wonder, and Well-being. We journey back to a time when the world itself was a song. Imagine the universe before light, just an endless hum, a cosmic vibration waiting to become form. Ancient mystics called it the Word. Scientists refer to it as frequency, and Tesla whispered that energy, vibration, and frequency are the keys to everything. What if temples, mountains, and even our own hearts were turned to that same grand symphony? Tonight we listen not with the ear, but with the soul. This isn't science, it's remembrance. The earth hums, stones resonate, and if we're quiet enough, we can still feel the rhythm of creation running through our bones. So take a deep breath, let the noise of the day fall away, and step with me into the ancient resonance that builds worlds. Everything vibrates. Stars, atoms, thoughts. The ancients believed creation began not with a bang, but with a breath. The Egyptians called it the voice of Ra. In India, it was In Sumeria, and in Sumeria, the Hu, the sound of divine exhalation. When you hum softly, Hu, which I must tell you, I use that Hu. It's very effective. The Hu vibration blooms in your chest, the same frequency that hums through galaxies. Perhaps that's why music moves us so deeply. It's a reminder of our original song. Even silence isn't empty. It's full of hidden vibration. Sound is not just heard, it is felt. It travels through water, through air, through us. Somewhere in that hum lies the memory of when everything was one tone, one field of infinite harmony, waiting to become matter. Sprinkle sand on a metal plate and play a single tone beneath it. Watch it leaps into perfect geometry, as you can see there in the image, and I'll show you a video in a moment. So you've got a vibration that turns into geometric circles, spirals. Stars bloom from invisible frequencies. Okay, so that's called cymatics, the science of seeing sound. Now imagine ancient builders watching similar patterns in dust or water and realizing that sound creates structure. Now, what if temples, pyramids, and cathedrals were designed by sound first? Geometry following melody, each stone, each chamber tuned to resonate with cosmic frequencies. To me, that explains why we feel awe in sacred spaces. They're still vibrating. Change the tone and the pattern dissolves. It's the same in life. Shift your inner frequency and your world rearranges itself. The universe isn't solid. It's a song temporarily frozen into matter. Our planet sings. The Schumann Resonance is 7.83 hertz, is the Earth's steady heartbeat. created by lightning dancing around the globe. It's the same frequency as the calm alpha rhythm in our brain. Coincidence? I think not. The ancients didn't need sensors. They felt that pulse through their bare feet and stone floors. Michael Tellinger suggests the stone circles of southern Africa were built to amplify that resonance, tuning valleys into vibrating bowls of power. Imagine Earth as a vast instrument, each mountain and river part of a score composed by lightning, gravity, and life itself. Stand quietly in nature long enough, and you can sense that the faint pulse, steady, eternal, like the breath of the planet. I'm going to play you a very short video.
Did you know the Earth has a heartbeat? Stay tuned to hear it. At any given time, approximately 2,000 thunderstorms occur on Earth, producing around 50 flashes of lightning every second. Each burst of lightning creates electromagnetic waves that begin to circle the Earth between the surface and the ionosphere, 60 miles above. Some of the waves caught in this cavity, if they have just the right wavelength, combine, increasing in strength to create a repeated atmospheric heartbeat known as Schumann Resonance. The base Schumann resonance has an atmospheric electromagnetic frequency of 7.83 Hz. This is an extremely low frequency, but it sounds something like this. Now, during the next thunderstorm, you can tell your friends that lightning is part of the Earth's atmospheric heartbeat. Did you know the Earth has a heartbeat?
Okay. I don't know if you've ever tried, Louise, something that I practice sometimes, not very often in the winter time, but we're coming now into the summer, and that is to walk bare feet anywhere. It can be on the beach, it can be in the garden, and if you've got some sort of disease or you're feeling unhappy, it's amazing how that frequency enters your body, and it's really a good way of just making contact with the actual basic frequency of the Earth. Anyway.
No, I don't walk bare feet, but one of my coworkers once suggested to me too. She said if she's stressed out, she said, touch a tree. Put your hand on a tree.
Oh, absolutely. That also has that same frequency. Those were very wise words. You put both hands on the tree and stand as close, as comfortable as possible. And because there's nothing, every tree has that earth vibration, without a doubt. And if you're able to even close your eyes, then you won't be distracted by the bark of the tree. It's really quite interesting. Anyway, across South Africa, millions of circular ruins rest in silence. Or do they? Tap one of the stones and it rings like bronze. These aren't random piles. They're quartz-rich, magnetic, and alive. Tellinger calls them the energy grid of the gods, a network designed to channel vibration rather than electricity. When sunlight warms the quartz, the subtle frequencies ripple through the air. Step inside a circle, as I and Sue have done, and your body picks up the signal, a soft hum in the chest, the hairs on your arms rising. Were they temples, machines? Maybe both. Perhaps our ancestors tuned the earth instead of tearing it apart. These stones remember songs older than civilization, and tonight we're here to listen. Viewed from above, the circles that I've been speaking about form a honeycomb pattern stretching for miles. Lines, spirals, and nodes connected with deliberate precision. It's as if someone traced sacred geometry across the land. Tellinger believes this was an ancient frequency network, transferring energy from resonance, each circle amplifying the next. Maybe they communicated across distances through sound, or perhaps they harvested the planet's natural hum as power. Even if mainstream archaeology insists they were cattle pens, I can't help but smile. Okay. 5 million stone kraals, as we call them in South Africa, cattle pens, with perfect symmetry? Hardly. When you see the entire grid from the sky, it feels like you're looking at a fossilized song, geometry left behind by vibration itself. Now these are very interesting, that you see in the image now. Okay. Scattered amongst the ruins lie thousands of these donut-shaped stones, carved with uncanny precision. Archaeologists call them weights, yet each one fits perfectly in the hand, balanced, smooth, heavy with quartz. Hold one and you feel almost imperceptible tremor, as though the stone remembers motion. Tellinger calls them torus stones, small resonant capacitors designed to amplify vibration. The torus, the eternal loop of energy spiraling in and out, is nature's favorite shape, from galaxies to atoms. Perhaps these stones captured sound and stored it like batteries. When I see them, I imagine ancient engineers humming into them, settling their frequency to align the Earth's own magnetic field. Okay. A quiet collaboration between... It's really, really interesting. And also, you'll hear in the video that there's also a person that both Michael Tellinger and I'm aware of, I didn't know them, that healed themselves within 3 months from cancer, taking this one of these torus stones to the hospital with them.
Start off by showing you that they're here, and this is the one torus stone. And this is the one that is responsible for quite a bit of healing, actually. I'll talk a lot more about that. Actually, somebody claimed that they were cured of cancer with this particular stone. And then we have this torus stone, which is really special because it's the one that is, you can see how the whole portion of it has been chipped off here and broken. And yet this is the torus stone that we got the fantastic images, the heat-sensitive images of this particular torus stone. So a lot to be said about this one. And then the big daddy of them all, the torus stone that crashed the TSA security system. This one is bigger. It's the biggest one of them all. And you'll notice that little white tag on my middle finger pointing towards it there. That shows you that that's the bottom side of the stone. That means that the energy comes in from there and comes out this side. So this is the top part. This is where the energy exits, and it comes in on this side. So Emma Jane dowsed all these torus stones. So you would have noticed all the torus stones in the museum that I showed you. They are all marked to show you which part is the bottom part where the energy comes in, and so the opposite part is where the energy comes out. This is very important. It took us a long time to figure out these things and through trial and experience, as always. This is very heavy. I forget what the weight is of this, but it's like 11 kilos or something. It's heavy. The dowsing, yes. All of this research and discovery comes by accident. Nothing happens because you choose to go and discover something. So you make these discoveries by accident. You're busy testing or doing something else, and suddenly one of your instruments indicates something, or your cell phone starts to flicker, and you realize that the stones are affecting the cell phones or the cameras or the drones and so forth. But one of the most important things that used to happen in the museum, when the people used to come in, and we didn't know which way the Torah stones were facing because we didn't dowse them. I wasn't aware that the Torah stones are generating so much energy. So people would start to complain that they were getting tired and really exhausted. The energy was drained. And then Emma Jane dowsed the stones and realized that they have a flow of energy from one side to the other. And that was then confirmed later with the heat-sensitive imaging camera that took those spectacular photographs of the Torah stone, showing us how the Torah stone sucks energy from the one side and pushes it out the other side, and therefore we have the temperature, heat-sensitive temperature differential from the one side of the stone to the other.
Okay, let me stop there. As a matter of interest, Louise, I was thinking when I was waiting for this class this morning, when we used to attend you might still do, get set up classes, you get notes afterwards. And I was wondering whether the links to these videos that I show on my classes, whether they'd be of any value. Would people look at the videos, or is it just a once-off with the class?
I don't know. I look at them occasionally, but usually, the class is what I get engaged in. But sometimes it is good to have other people there besides me who might want to see the video. So I'd open it up to other people and ask.
Yeah. I actually assumed that because all the years that I did get set up, I hardly looked at notes afterwards of any other classes that I attended. So anyway, you answered my question. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Right. Every legend hints that sound once shaped stone. Tibetan monks lifting rocks with horns. Jericho's walls crumbling to trumpets. Egyptian priests chanting granite into place. Could resonance truly move matter? As I ask myself. Physics says frequency can shatter glass. We know that. We've seen somebody singing. Perhaps the ancient tuned low, deep vibrations to cancel gravity. Imagine vast choirs chanting specific tones until the air itself thickened and stone floated like mist. Tellinger believes they mastered sonic levitation long before the machines. Whether myth or lost science, it reawakens something within us. The knowing that sound isn't weak. It's the architect of reality. The ancients built with tone. We merely, nowadays, build with noise. So modern measurements reveal the stones emit ultra-high frequency, some into gigahertz range, similar to modern microwave communications. So compasses spin near them, The megatomaters twitch. Tellinger wonders if these sites once formed a continent-wide power grid, converting Earth's resonance into usable energy. It sounds incredible, yet the data exists. Could it be that these weren't places of worship, but of function? Sound-driven power stations for a civilization attuned to nature's hum. Even if the readings baffle scientists, they make one thing clear. Energy once flowed through this land in harmony, not extraction. It challenges our notion of progress. Maybe technology and spirituality once sang the same note. When I stood inside one of these circles, the air felt charged, not loud, but alive. A faint pressure pulsed in my chest, like a heartbeat that I guess wasn't mine. So, birds went quiet. I placed my hand on the stone and felt warmth, not from the sun, but from within. Close your eyes and imagine it. Golden grass, ancient courts, a low vibration filling the silence. In that moment, I realized sound isn't always audible. It can be sensed through stillness. Perhaps these sites were built as instruments of awareness, teaching their visitors to feel the invisible symphony of light. They invite us to listen not outward, but inward. And I wonder, Louise, if you'd experience that when touching a tree, if you were in a forest somewhere, if you would sense what I've been talking about. Eh?
Well, I'm going to have to try it again with both hands. But I do, just being in nature, I mean, I just went for a walk today in a small, very small park. And it's just so it's almost meditative to be in nature, just the trees turning colors, the wind blowing the leaves. And that's how I experienced something beyond just day-to-day prosaic living for me.
That's beautiful. I go for a walk every day into the forest because it's right next to my house. And in the middle of the forest is a bench. Okay. So,
Nice. Very nice.
Isn't that lovely? And so I walk.
Yes.
Yeah. And it doesn't matter whether it's the heat of summer, because it gets very hot here, because you're in a forest. So it's you don't experience the heat like you do if you're in the sun itself.
Mm-hmm.
And I just sit there, and I let my imagination go, and I don't consciously think of anything, but I sometimes do the humming, the who that I told you about, because it's I walk sort of like maybe the middle of the morning, and there's nobody else around, and it's really, really very. There's a feeling that you don't get anywhere else. So maybe that's a better way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Anyway, let's continue to the singing stones of South Africa. Strike one stone and it rings like a bell. Strike several and harmonies emerge. The tones vary with size, shape, and mineral makeup, forming natural scales. Tellinger believes the ancients tuned each circle deliberately, creating an orchestra of the earth. I like to imagine them at sunrise thousands of years ago, striking stones in rhythmic unison, a planetary concert to celebrate dawn. Modern tests confirm that high silica content makes them acoustically alive. Whether instrument, temple, or transmitter, each circle hums with intelligence. It's as if the land itself composed music, and we're only just found the score. Aerial photos reveal spirals, hexagons, and concentric rings matching cymatic shapes formed by sound on metal plates, like I mentioned earlier. Could the builders have used vibration as their architect? Perhaps they spread fine dust, played a tone, watched the patterns form, and then built along the standing wave lines. In doing so, they anchored sound into matter, frozen harmonic sculpted into geography. Each circle a note, the landscape a chord. When we stand among them, we aren't visiting ruins, we're walking through a song, paused melody. And maybe when wind sweeps across these stones, the tone continues, softly echoing the first symphony of creation. imagine Earth as that vibrating plate. And then you start
Where can you get a device like that?
a device to get to do that with the sand.
Yeah.
Oh, you can actually create it yourself. To get it can be any metal plate, okay, and you've got sand, and you just connect it to a device that puts out different frequencies with the turn of a knob, and it's. But seeing it like that in the video is just.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's absolutely, it sort of tells the story that I'm trying to tell in the class. So, yeah.
So did you hear those vibrations, or they're like, like the sounds dogs can only hear? Is it like that?
When we were in the circles, yes, I could feel that when it was a complete circle, and it hadn't been disturbed for centuries. Yes, you could. I personally felt it. I haven't experimented with the vibration on a plate, but it's logical to me. Yeah. Yeah. So just imagine, as I was saying now, the whole Earth as an enormous instrument like that vibrating plate. Mountains vibrate like strings, oceans pulse like drums, and volcanoes hum like bass notes. Sacred sites, now this is interesting. I found that, like Giza, okay, or Stonehenge, or Machu Picchu, they sit precisely on magnetic nodes, forming a planetary orchestra. I like to think the ancient architects felt these vibrations and placed their monuments where the resonance peaked. Perhaps the planet once sang continuously, and these structures helped humans join the harmony. When we visit them, that feeling of awe might be recognition, our bodies sort of remembering the key. Everything alive contributes to the universal chord, and when we fall silent, the song grows clearer. There you can see on the image the different places on Earth that I've just been talking about. Nikola Tesla called what you see now on the image his harmonies creation. It now, when they write about it, they call it Tesla's harmony of creation. So Nikola Tesla called 369 the keys to the universe. He sensed that nature's architecture runs on harmonic ratios, numbers that repeat in spirals, waves, and planetary orbits. Look around. The triangle of 3, the hexagon of 6, the Aeneid of 9, perhaps echoing through snowflakes, flowers, and temple floor plans. Tesla's vision wasn't superstition. It was intuition turned into mathematics. Michael Tellinger noticed the same rhythm carved into ancient sites. Triple circles, 6-petaled rosettes, 9 stone alignments. Coincidence? Or a shared remembrance that number, sound, and geometry are just one breath? To me, 3 is the spark, 6 the unfolding, and 9 the return. Birth, life, renewal. When we chant or strike a tone in that sequence, something in our body recognizes. And I use the word 9 as return because I was studying yesterday numerology, and I'm at the end of a 9 phase in life, and that's like the end of something and the start of something new. And so numbers really interest me immensely. It feels like complete, as if we momentary sync with the cosmic heartbeat. Tesla tried to describe, okay, so it was very difficult for him to get through to people. The hum beneath all form. The hum beneath all form, Tesla spoke about. You know, and if now we go back, and as you can see the image there and the lines that we've drawn on the image. In Sumerian legend, the Anunnaki descended from the heavens to shape the earth and humankind. Tellinger believes that harnessed sound as technology, transforming vibration into power, communication, and even levitation. Perhaps their temples were resonant machines, tuning tone into force. Imagine vast chambers where stone walls vibrated with low frequencies, creating invisible scaffolding that lifted massive blocks effortlessly. My favorite thought is that they didn't command creation. They sang it into being. Every civilization remembers divine beings who spoke the word alive. The Egyptian Ta, the Hebrew word, the Vedic Different names, one principle. Sound as the primal tool. Whether the Anunnaki were gods or visitors or mythic metaphors for our lost mastery, their story reminds us that creation responds to vibration. Whisper, chant, speak with intent, and the universe rearranges itself to listen. And that's why I chant, okay? I do the who, okay? Quietly when nobody's around and Sue's at work, and so it works. It's so healing. It's so relaxing. Anyway, we're moving on to high on a South African ridge stand 2 upright stones framing the sunrise. Both Sue and I have been there. We're part of what Tellinger calls Adam's calendar, perhaps the oldest man-made structure on Earth. Each solstice, the sun rises perfectly through that gateway that you see there in the image, casting shadows that mark seasons, equinoxes, and star alignments. But there's more. Instruments record magnetic abnormalities pulsing from the site, as though the stones themselves breathe electricity. As I said, I once stood there at dawn. A hush fell over the valley, and for a moment the air trembled. Was it the wind or the earth exhaling? The ancients might have gathered there to tune themselves with the solar rhythm, to synchronize heartbeats with celestial cycles. Standing in that alignment, you feel small, yet perfectly placed inside the cosmic order, as if time itself has paused to hum your name.
Okay, so here we are at Adam's
Might have to
calendar.
turn up your
It's
volume.
the 21st of June 2010, the winter solstice in South Africa in the southern hemisphere. And we just saw a magnificent sunrise this morning. We are lucky that there were no clouds or mist in the air, which happens often. And we're about 700 meters above the valley below, the Barberton Valley. Sometimes we call it an impact crater. There's still some argument about whether it is an impact crater. And this is the sort of the greater circle of Adam's calendar runs around here. And originally, you can look at it from on Google, you'll see originally it was a circular structure, a circular stone structure, pretty much like Stonehenge. In the middle, right there, are the two calendar stones, which are very important. The front stone casts a shadow on the stone behind it, and every day, you can tell every day of the year by where the shadow is when the sun sets. So the calendar still works, it's still accurate, even though it is 285,000 years old, is what we believe it to be. As you can see, the stones are leaning towards the edge of the cliff. That's purely just from soil shift of thousands and thousands of years. Most of the stones that were on the edge of the outside ring have fallen down now, lying flat on the outer ring of the calendar. And that is the northern stone marker, that is the southern stone marker, over there under the tree. And then over here is where the stone man stood. This is where the stone man was taken out of, right here. And the stone man...
Anyway, I'm going to stop there. It goes on for 2 hours, this particular video. Okay. And it's just, I don't know, I find it so interesting. So that's Adam's calendar. Let's just get the slides right again. There we go. So, I've called this When Science Meets Mystery, where reason ends and resonance begins. Modern researchers detect measurable resonance, magnetism, and piezoelectric activity in these sites, but they hesitate to call it technology. The scientist demands data, as you know. The seeker feels truth. I believe both are valid instruments in the orchestra of understanding. Science measures the waveform. Mystery listens for the melody. When we combine them, knowledge gains soul. Perhaps that's what our ancestors knew instinctively, that curiosity and reverence were never opposite. So when a skeptic asks, "Where's the proof?" I smile and answer, right there, in your sense of wonder. The moment we stop insisting on certainty, we start to hear the faint music woven through matter. Mystery isn't ignorance. It's spacious knowledge vibrating just beyond what our tools can record. Here I'm coming back to what I mentioned earlier. Across cultures and millennia, one syllable actually echoes. The who. Okay. And you really, all I can say, if you want proof, experiment with it. Experiment with it every day for a few weeks, and you will start to feel it. The Egyptians said it was the creative utterance of the gods. Sufi mystics sing it to open the heart. Modern sound healers call it the tone of divine love. Chant it gently, like I do, as I said regularly. The who. The vibration begins in your chest, rolls through your throat, and blooms behind the eyes. It calms thought, balances breath, and some say awakens memory. Perhaps the ancients used who to attune the planet's resonance, to harmonize consciousness with creation itself. I often imagine early humans standing among the stones at dusk, humming together, feeling the earth respond. No dogma, no translation, just frequency meeting frequency. Every time we voice who, we recreate that ancient moment of unity when humanity still sang in tune with its world. Sound doesn't merely travel through air, it passes through flesh, bone, and mind. Modern research shows vibration affects brain waves, heart rate, even cellular structure. Yet long before laboratories, shamans, monks, and healers used drums, gongs, and chants to shift consciousness. Tellinger proposes that the stone circles functioned as amplifiers of awareness, a technology of mind expansion powered by resonance. Imagine standing inside one while tons ripple through quartz, synchronizing your heartbeat with the planet's pulse. Not tons, while tones. Imagine standing inside one while tones ripple through quartz, synchronizing your heartbeat with the planet's pulse. No chemicals, no machines, only vibration guiding perception into deeper stillness. When our internal frequencies match those of Earth, fear dissolves and clarity emerges. Perhaps enlightenment was never about escaping the body, but feeling or fully feeling its harmonic link to everything that is. Sound is the bridge between matter and spirit, the whisper that reminds us both are one vibration at different speeds.
Hello, my name is Don, and I'm here at the Musical Instrument Museum today to teach you a little bit about the physics of music. And so I've got a setup here that's going to show us something very special, something called resonance. And it's the frequency that an object likes to vibrate at. And it could be anything. It could be a string, a rod, a bowl, but in this case we've got a string. And so I've got a frequency generator here, and basically this is going to tell this little bob right here to go up and down a certain amount of times per second. And it's fixed to this bob, it's fixed to this end. And basically at certain frequencies, we're going to see some interesting things happen. So I'm going to turn the amplitude up, which is basically just the power that I'm providing to this. And we see that there's this place of a lot of up and down action right here in the middle. And then on the ends, there's not so much. And something interesting about resonance is that when you multiply this number by any number, you get different kinds of waveforms that look like this. And so I'm going to multiply it by 2, so we'll go from 5 to 10. And we see now there's this place in the middle here with a little bit, with zero action actually, and 2 places of a lot of action. And we can do this over and over and over again. I'm going to go up to 15, that's 5 times 3. Now we have 3 places of a lot of action. And if you notice, this is a string. What instrument normally uses strings that you can think of? The first thing that comes to my mind is a guitar. I love playing guitar, and I always think about these resonant frequencies when I'm playing guitar. And so we'll have a little bit more fun. We'll go up to 30 here, 30 times a second that this bob is going up and down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places of a lot of action. And these are directly related to musical notes that you hear when you hear an instrument. They're just the object, that instrument, is vibrating at that resonant frequency. As a physicist, I love telling people about the physics of music. And I hope that when you see a guitar string or see someone playing guitar, you remember what we learned here today. I had a lot of fun teaching you about resonance, and I hope to see you at the MIM.
Didn't you find that, again, that demonstration interesting? Okay. It really was, it's like that plate vibrating. demonstrating it with the sand on the plate, and there with a string, the same vibrating machine, just, well, it's power, just turning the frequency up. So now, I've always found this interesting, gold. Okay, gold glows not only with color, but with conductivity. It channels frequency more efficiently than any other metal. Tellinger believed the Anunnaki sought gold as a treasure, not as a treasure, but as a resonant amplifier, an element that could hold and transmit sound. Think of golden altars, halos, crowns, ancient symbols of radiance that may have been literal technologies of light. When I handle a piece of gold, I sense warmth that's more than physical, a subtle hum, as though it resembles the stars it was forged in. Maybe that's why humans have always adorned themselves with it. We've instinctively drawn to materials that sing in harmony with our own energy field. The ancients mined it for vibration. We wear it for beauty. Either way, it reminds us that true value lies not in possession, but in resonance. Your body is a living orchestra. Each organ vibrates at its own frequency. Each organ vibrates at its own frequency. Heart as a drum, lungs as flute, brain as string section. When emotion or stress disrupts the rhythm, disease follows. Ancient healers didn't treat illness, they retuned people. A drum beat restored the heart's tempo, chanting the balance, endocrine notes. They danced, rekindled circulation. We lost that art when medicine became chemistry instead of harmony. Yet every breath and hum we make still shapes our inner acoustics. I often tell my listeners, hum before you speak, okay, and you'll speak with coherence. So we're not separate from the sound field. We are it, condensed. When we vibrate consciously, health becomes less about fighting disease and more about returning to tune. The body is both instrument and musician, waiting for us to remember the song. Look around our modern world. Machines humming out of sync, cities roaring with discord. Humanity has become slightly off-key in the symphony of Earth. But perhaps that's part of evolution. We must fall out of tune before you listen and learn again. Tellinger envisaged future communities built on resonance. Homes arranged like stone circles, power derived from frequency, not fuel. It sounds utopian, yet physics already hints it's possible. Maybe progress isn't new gadgets, but remembered harmony. Imagine neighborhoods where each structure contributes to a field of coherence, where children learn pitch and compassion in the same lesson. That dream begins simply, with us humming by ourselves and humming together. Every choice in alignment with kindness raises the planetary frequency a little higher. Returning the world starts with one note, yours. Sometimes at night, I step outside and listen. There's a faint vibration underneath everything. The murmur of insects, wind through trees, distant power lines. But beneath all that, a deeper, steadier pulse. I like to think it's the same resonance the ancients built their monuments upon, still echoing through the bedrock. When life feels chaotic, I stand barefoot on the ground and breathe until I feel the subtle rhythm return. It reminds me that stability doesn't come from silence, but from synchronicity. The earth is humming, a lullaby older than humanity. We only need to quiet the inner noise to hear it. Once we recognize that tone, every moment, every heartbeat becomes part of a conscious, comforting music. From Malta's hypergeum, where a single voice can shake stone walls, to Peru's cavern tunnels that amplify conch horns, to England's Stonehenge ringing like a drum, ancient architecture worldwide obeys acoustic law. Each site resonates at a specific frequencies, as if Earth composed variations on one theme. The ancients may never have met, yet they built in harmony. Perhaps they tuned their temples to planetary nodes so prayers could travel the magnetic grid. When we step into these spaces, we feel awe, not because they're sacred, because we recognize the frequency. It's the same one that vibrates in our bones. We wandered far from that understanding, but every echo from stone to sky invites us to rejoin the orchestra.
Right now, every one of us is in the process of thinking. What we may not realize is that this very process affects our reality.
One of the fundamental principles in ancient indigenous spiritual traditions is the understanding that what we think and what we feel influences the physical world around us.
American inventor Henry Ford famously said, "Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right." In other words, your beliefs are frequencies mirrored in the world around you.
It's our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and even our beliefs have physical representations in the world around us.
Well, thoughts really direct our reality, both from how we perceive and the things we make out of our reality and what's happening in our environment, and they can affect what we manifest out of the quantum field into our physical reality.
Every time we think, every thought that we create in our head actually leaves our head as a wave of light. We know this because we can put a cap on someone's head with electrodes on it to pick up those waves of light and send them to a computer so we can analyze the brain. When you think about something, that information goes out eternally into space-time as a wave.
From a physics perspective, all possibilities exist as potentials in the field, which is in constant motion in the quantum realm, and each of us has the ability to visualize and perhaps create these potentials. Expanded consciousness is the state of being awake and aware within this field.
Now, as a scientist in the modern world, when I began to hear this, it didn't make sense because my conditioning was that we're separate from our world, that we have little influence over the body within us, let alone the world around us. But as the implications of quantum physics became widely known and more accessible, it became apparent how this relationship exists.
If you're a distant civilization, you can pick up that radio frequency and you can actually decode it. So we know that thinking is important because it directly affects everything around us. Other people, other things, believe it or not, can quantum entangle with those waves of light and download the information that you were thinking.
Japanese researcher Masaru Emoto studied how thoughts affect our physical world. He experimented with 3 beakers of rice and water. Every day for a month, he said thankful words to the first beaker. For the second one, he spoke hateful phrases to the rice, such as, "You're an idiot." He completely ignored the third beaker. After 30 days, the first beaker of rice gave off a pleasant scent and began to ferment. The rice in the second beaker turned black, and the rice in the third beaker started to rot.
The worst rice samples is the one that was ignored. The same can be said in our daily lives when dealing with children. Ignoring children is the worst thing we can do. Even if we have to scold them occasionally, communication is very important.
Communication, thoughts, and behaviors have a frequency, which is why many cultures emphasize the importance of speaking, thinking, and acting with integrity.
And it's all about the words, the vibration, then the meaning that we give to those words, the vibration that we assign to those words. And
let's stop there. The video continues for another half an hour. I found that, it's another demonstration. Any thoughts, Louise, when you were watching that?
Well, I actually was thinking how cats or dogs understand your tone of voice without knowing words, and they kind of understand what you mean. I don't know how I leapt to that, but I did.
Okay, no, thanks for sharing. I think it really very well, that experiment with the water and the rice really shows how powerful our thoughts are for ourselves, okay, for our own health, okay. It's absolutely amazing. Okay, so now where you happen to be sitting, take a slow breath in. Let it out as a gentle tone, any note that feels natural to you. Just let it out with a note, with a sound. That sound is your personal frequency, your contribution to creation's ongoing symphony. The ancients didn't separate spirituality from physics. They lived the truth that sound shapes reality. When you speak with kindness, sing with joy, or even hum while cooking, you align with that principle. Every vibration carries intention. The more loving the note, the more harmonious the field around you. In this sense, sound healing isn't mystical, it's participation. We heal ourselves by joining the melody already playing through the universe. The voice is the original technology of transformation, and it has never gone out of style. We began with a hum, and we end with one. Creation never stopped. It continues with every heartbeat, every sigh, every word. When Michael Tellinger speaks of resonance, I hear not just ancient science, but timeless invitation. Remember that you are part of frequency. Each thought vibrates into the collective field. Share curiosity and compassion, and the world brightens. Speak fear, and it dims. Knowledge, he says, is frequency, and sharing it keeps the song alive.